the ashes to school the masses. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Scholars Wrestling Show. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. To my left is Scholar Brian. What's up, sir?
What's going on?
Oh, apparently quite a bit.
Always. New tournaments, new top rankings, and Raw and SmackDown that are pretty much the same.
More or less, but there's a little bit more detail to that. And we're going to cover it all on this week's episode of Scholars Wrestling Show. As you may have noticed, our partner in crime, Scholar Tarek, is once again still stuck overseas. Enjoy your time overseas in Paris and everything else over there. Enjoy your time. We'll land down the fort when you return. But first, we've got a little something to cover this week. Starting off everything on the Scholars Wrestling Show with a little bit of what we call
Backstage News. Women Man.
I was going to go with uncoordinated backstage news transition, man, but whatever. That all works too. Anyway, speaking of women, man, the first round of the Mae Young Classic dropped this week and is anything but meh.
No, it is decidedly not meh.
Oh. And you were just talking...
From what I hear.
Yes, you were just telling me before we went on that you didn't get a chance to watch any of it yet.
From what I hear and what people have been saying around the grapevine, I'm really looking forward to watching what is on the WWE Network this coming weekend.
Oh yeah, it is. I'll tell you what, by the time this goes up, hopefully you will be able to see some of it, because really, I think this is just like the Cruiserweight Classic before it. This is even more required viewing for any wrestling fan if you've got the WWE Network. And even if you don't, this is the kind of thing that's worth signing up for. It really is. And I'm not going to go into in-depth detail about everything that happened during the first round. Again, spoilers are out there. I'm not going to spoil it. But now that we've actually seen all these ladies in action, or we're able to watch them, here are just a few bullet points I got, and just highlights. There's so many really, really super talented wrestlers on this show. And even just in the tournament in general. Just a few random assorted thoughts. Number one, Rhea Ripley is gorgeous. Not just that she's gorgeous. She's got when I say that, I mean she's got a really good look about her. She's got this sort of weird natural charisma to her. I don't know. I was just really impressed right from the get-go. Toni Storm's another one. Just really, really impressive. One that I really wasn't quite sure about was Bianca Belair. The black girl with the really long, crazy hair.
I heard she has a really nice spirit.
She does. However, I'm sort of on the fence about her, not because of her skills, but because of her sort of gimmick. Like with the hair and everything, it's such a unique look that I'm wondering how long can she actually live with this. It's like if you get big in WWE, unless you come up with something big, you're something else that you're pretty much never allowed to cut your hair. So again, great gimmick. I love it, but can you keep it up? That's the thing.
How long can a gimmick like that last before you need to get that off your head immediately?
I'm guessing maybe you can use like a weave or something. I don't know, but either way, there's definitely more to this girl than just one single gimmick. She can definitely go, just about everyone else in this whole thing. So we'll see. Speaking of being able to go, Piper Niven, the bigger blonde girl, built sort of like Nia Jax. After seeing her in action, I can safely say she seems like the pro-level version of Nia Jax.
It's always a good thing when you're not Nia Jax. The pro level of Nia Jax, that's a good thing, okay? Because that means you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, she just seems like way more competent than Nia for being built the same way. She moves well. Her timing, it seems, way better. She even when they were introducing her, they listed her as one of the only females to ever headline Korakuen Hall in Japan. I mean, if
and that's a big deal.
Yeah, if they can,
that's a huge deal.
Honestly, say that with no hint of hyperbole whatsoever, and you know what, that's a big enough accomplishment on its own. And from the way she wrestled here, it definitely looks like she's definitely got the skills. I like her.
Yeah, if they give you a big spot like that in Japan, you've obviously got the goods.
Mm-hmm.
And if this just means we get a plus-sized female who actually knows what she's doing in the WWE ranks, that doesn't bother me one bit.
Oh yeah.
So
she, in a lot of ways, she reminds me of what someone like Nia Jax can become. She's like Nia Jax, only without the overt ferocity. It's like they just made her look like a regular wrestler instead of like a final boss for the women's division. If that makes any sense at all.
Yes.
But
for all you video game freaks out there.
Which, knowing the listeners of this show, is probably all of you.
All of you.
But either way, I dig it. Now, speaking of monsters, I cannot talk about monsters in this division without mentioning Shayna Baszler, the MMA chick.
Mm-hmm.
She looked like a legitimate badass in this thing.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah,
if she's a legit MMA chick and she doesn't have the gimmick of a legit badass, there's something wrong with that picture.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see more of this phenomenon as it goes on, but again, we have to mention Shayna Baszler. Especially if she rocks the MMA look, she's pretty much a shoo-in if they keep her to be a cornerstone of the division going forward. Now, as far as just regular individual matches that caught my eye, just the very last of the first round matches, Kairi Sane versus Tessa Blanchard. You want to talk about two people who will be mainstays of the division if they actually end up getting signed long term? Kairi and Tessa Blanchard. This was not the first time I saw Kairi Sane / Kairi Hojo in a match before, so I already knew how good she was. I have to admit, this is the first time I ever saw Tessa Blanchard wrestle.
The only time I've seen Tessa Blanchard is in pictures on the Facebooks, and I liked what I saw there. So she wrestles good too?
Oh yes, she does.
All right.
These two just come across and just
total package
themselves.
Good shit.
Yeah, I mean it. These two just come across like consummate professionals. Like they've been, like especially Kairi. She looks like basically like an 18-year-old little girl, little Japanese girl thing. It's like super kawaii, hey. But even so, but it works. And then she like, as soon as the bell rings, it immediately all goes away. Gimmicks are off. It's go time. Like you realize if you've never actually seen Kairi Sane before, she'll make a believer out of you out of this match. And another one that really caught my eye, I was really curious about after I heard the results. Like, again, I had the whole thing spoiled for me in terms of results. Was Abby Layeth, aka Kimber Lee from Chikara, versus Jazzy Gaberts, the big German woman who wrestled overseas as alpha female. When I first heard the result of this match, I was really kind of flabbergasted why it happened the way it did. And then I actually watched the match. This is another one of those cases of like a Kairi Tessa situation where both of these women have been working as professionals at such a high level for such a long time that you realize why exactly it works. I really hope both of these ladies stick around, especially Jazzy Gabert, just because she's, out of all the quote-unquote female monsters they've got in this thing, Jazzy's just got the best look, in my opinion. And Abby, Kimberly, however you want to call her, she comes across as every bit the magnificent acquisition that you've heard about. You take a look at a match like this, you really realize why Abby Layth became a former Chikara Grand champion. It makes total sense, and the ending of the match makes total sense in context. Now that finally brings me to the last standout match of mine. Xia Li versus Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez you might have heard about. She used to wrestle in Shimmer. Again, one of those women, arms are completely covered in tattoos, looks like a legit badass. Xia Li, I didn't know anything about her. I never even heard of her before, but that's apparently because she's one of those acquisitions from the Chinese camps.
Mm.
But apparently she does have a background in kung fu and martial arts and all that stuff. Apparently this was her first match ever, if you can believe it. She still made a damn good showing for herself, and honestly, one big reason why I like her, I'll fully admit, because I like her gimmick. She comes in doing the whole kung fu routine with the fans and all that, and she's got the super thick Chun-Li thighs, and she basically looks like every fighting game character you've ever liked.
And we do like those fighting game characters. So,
hey, like I said,
Chun-Li.
I'll be honest with you. As soon as I made that recollection, I was like, "Oh wait, she's even got part of her name." Like, why does this make so much sense? But again, I like her, and her gimmick makes her stand out. I really hope that they sign her too. There's so many names in this thing that even if they signed just a fourth, just a small fraction of them, that would be way more than enough to automatically reinvigorate the women's division on both shows of the mainline thing.
Which we'll get to in a bit.
Oh yes, we will. Yes, we will. But in the meantime, this was the kind of thing that really makes me hopeful for the future. It's a real palate cleanser compared to what we'll get on the main roster shows for the week.
That seems like what these tournaments really are. Okay, they're a chance to get to know other wrestlers that you might not have ever seen if you didn't watch anything other than WWE programming. And it's a nice little palate cleanser for when stuff pisses you off on the main shows.
Exactly. So thank you, WWE, for the palate cleanser. And speaking of palate cleansers, actually just a matter of hours before we went on and started recording this episode of the show, but the PWI 500 for the year 2017 just got released. Have you heard anything about this yet?
No, I have not. This is brand new news to me.
Okay, well, apparently, for the first time ever, the number one...
Tell me there's a tie.
No, there is not a tie.
There's not a tie.
Instead, there's a first ever Japanese guy at number one. Okada.
Oh, okay.
Which makes total sense when you consider the type of
year he's had. Oh God, man.
Yeah. So here's the top 10. Number 1, Okada. Number 2, AJ Styles. Number 3, Kevin Owens. Number 4, Roman Reigns. Number 5, Kenny Omega. Number 6, Shinsuke Nakamura. Number 7, Dean Ambrose. Number 8, Samoa Joe. Number 9, Bobby Roode. And number 10, The Miz. Especially number 10.
I like The Miz. I agree with that. Shinsuke Nakamura over Dean Ambrose. Not based on who we like.